Hey, what's up? It's Earth Rim Roamer, and this is a commentary video about visiting Iraq, especially as an American. And it's also my final travel video, probably for a while, now that I've posted the last leftover videos of Iraq. I wanted to make a commentary about it, and like I said in the last commentary video, I won't be making a commentary about other countries I went to because it's just not really worth making a commentary video about those since so many people visit those countries. So yeah, it's very random actually how I ended up visiting Iraq. It was not a part of the plan, but I always knew for people who are really into traveling into like edgier countries, Iraq is like a huge one, and it's getting more popular for people to go to. So yeah, I didn't even know you could get a visa to visit is one huge thing. I was in Pakistan still in July or August, and on this trip I really wanted to go to Mecca, and I know that is really hard to do, obviously, as an American, a white person. I'm not like a full-blown like Muslim, you know, so it's just really hard to go. And if you don't know what Mecca is, here, I'll put like a picture of it right there. Mecca is only visitable by Muslims. You can't go if you're not a Muslim. And among people that are really into traveling to edgy countries, this place is like the holy grail of traveling. Like if you get to go to this place, like, yeah, it's pretty rare to get to go, trust me. So I wanted to do a Muslim pilgrimage at Mecca, and there was just no way I could figure out how to do one. So I didn't know of any other ones, but then one of my friends in Pakistan said, dude, there's one in about a month in Iraq that makes Mecca look like Hajj and Umrah at Mecca. It makes it look like this. And I was like, what is this thing? And he said it was called arba'een in Iraq. And he said every year that it happens, it consistently gets bigger, and it breaks a world record every year of the world's biggest gathering. And I was like, what? Like this? And he told me it was like a Muslim pilgrimage to a giant mosque. People walk from all over Iraq, from Iran, Saudi Arabia, you name it. They all walk to this mosque in Iraq, in Karbala, Iraq, where the Imam Hussein shrine is at. So I was like, what? How can I get a visa to Iraq? I'll try to make this story short so I can get to the Iraq commentary. So I ended up finding out at the Iraq embassy in Pakistan that I could go get a visa on arrival in Iraq. It was a brand new thing that they were letting Americans and Europeans visit Iraq without having to apply to enter the country from their country. So with that information, I was set on it. I was like, what? Like, I got to go to this, you know? I was a little worried though. It's Iraq. I don't even have to explain why I was worried. But I ended up buying a plane ticket, and I went there, and they let me go enter the country and everything. I was really surprised at Baghdad International. And anyways, getting to Iraq, this pilgrimage that I went on was, where do we even begin? It was so cool. And I think the coolest part about getting to go to this pilgrimage in the year 2021 is that it was completely untouched by Westerners, completely. The biggest gathering of people, and there was not a single Westerner there, not a single one. And I seriously doubt by the next time it happens, it'll be like that again. If they still keep visas on arrival in Iraq, more people are going to find out about this pilgrimage. Anybody that's found out about it from my Facebook page or whatever that lives in the United States, you're one of the very few people that know that this thing even exists. And that's a good thing as a person that really likes when they travel to get as far away from Western culture. This event was the most untouched thing I've been to from outside forces. I was the only white person there out of like the estimated 27 to 30 million people that walked this thing, which was so cool. It was just untouched by outside forces, and it was a heck of a time. I walked from Baghdad to Karbala for a few days, and the whole time I walked this pilgrimage, it was like just tents and concession stands and different Shia activities happening everywhere, and people were giving me free food and free water everywhere, and there was tents everywhere to sleep in when you wanted to take a break and then start walking again the next day. It was real. That's the only way to describe the event. It was real. It was the most like community, like we care about each other sort of thing I've ever been to. And man, met so many good people at the arba'een walk. You could call it the Imam Hussein walk. When I got there on September 28th on the 40th, hence the name arba'een, the scene of people, the amount of people, the emotional reactions, going into the mosque to the shrine where everybody was fighting to touch it. It was the most interesting and coolest thing I've ever been to while traveling, and I'll never forget it. It was a amazing time, and that was definitely not only my favorite part of Iraq, but my favorite travel experience I've ever had was doing this arba'een walk. As far as other things in Iraq, I walked around Baghdad a lot, especially since this city has such a bad reputation. I never saw anything sketchy in Baghdad. It was actually, Baghdad was more chill than Cairo, Egypt. It was more chill than, I mean, these cities are obviously not chill. Like Cairo is pretty chaotic. It was more chill than Karachi and Lahore and you name it. There was nothing crazy and chaotic and horns blowing in Baghdad. I was like, this is the city that like has this horrible reputation. Like, what? But it was really neat. I was really excited to explore that whole city just because of like the reputation it has. And there's not like a whole lot to do in Baghdad, but like just being there and walking around for a few days was just really neat. The other cities that I visited was Mosul, where the Islamic group ISIS started, which was pretty insane. There's nothing like that happening there now. So it was a really neat place. I really enjoyed Mosul. I got to see some neat mosques there. And the guy that took me there, we went to his family's house by the airport that got destroyed, and we hung out with his family for a while. And we went to a couple other places around that area. I can't remember the names of the other places that we went, but there was one really old, I put a picture of it on Instagram. It's like a tower that used to be they would do the azans at the mosque out of it, and that was really neat. It was really scary to walk up. What else in Iraq? Karbala, of course, I've kind of already talked about that. That's where I walked to on the pilgrimage. Well, negatives about Iraq, I will say, like, the accommodation in Iraq is extremely expensive. It cost me about $50 to $60 a night while I was there. Therefore, I was only there for about 3 weeks. And I also, half the time, was sleeping in tents for free at the arba'een walk, fortunately. Also, in Iraq, you can go to Babylon, Iraq. Yes, Babylon is a real place. It's in Iraq. So like in Babylon, they have old parts of Babylon torn down all around, and just essentially this place was supposed to be like a paradise. I don't know necessarily the history. I know it was like King Nebuchadnezzar is the person, like way back. He built this place, or had it built, and it's falling apart pretty badly. It's really neat though, and the neatest part about Babylon is that Saddam Hussein also built a palace up on this artificially created hill there. I made a video about it on my YouTube channel, and you can go there. It's completely abandoned, and walk around, and you can see where Saddam Hussein used to hang out and do a lot of different activities, which was a really neat experience. Babylon is a must-see if you go to Iraq. It is so cool. Last thing I'll touch on with Iraq is the mosques are exhilarating. They're all covered in just shiny, I don't know if I'd say diamonds, but it's just like surreal. Like the views of the mosques in Iraq are just like, what? Like it's wild. They are put together extremely nice, and they're all so worth checking out. The first thing I did when I got there in Baghdad was I got out of my taxi and was walking to a hotel, and I could just hear this azan coming from this giant mosque out in the distance, like a giant one. And I was like, I just stopped and was like, before I go to my hotel, I'm gonna go over there. So I went inside of it, and everybody was getting like warmed up for the walk, and there were so many people in this mosque, and there was so much going on in there, and wow, it was wild. It was wild. Yeah, the mosques there are amazing. So yeah, this is kind of it's not as long as the Pakistan video. It's everything I can think of for Iraq. It's a great country to visit. As an American, we don't have like the greatest history with it, obviously. So I know it's a little sketchy to go there as an American. As of right now, it's totally fine to go there. If you ever plan to go there, you should do research, see what's happening there. Is there like a political, like, are they about to vote? Is there going to be any riots or blah, 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 anything like that? It's good to check before you go. The current situation is what I'm trying to say. I highly recommend it though. It was a blast, especially that arba'een walk. Man, I'm so glad I found out about that from one of my friends, and I got to fulfill that goal of getting to do a Muslim pilgrimage, but not doing it at Mecca, which is, this walk was cooler than Mecca. Like it was cooler, but I would still like to do that one day. So anyways, that's Iraq, Earth Roamer, and this is it for the travel videos for now. I'm all out of videos for traveling. This is the last commentary. So future videos will come. I'm sure they won't be as consistent. And I hope you stick around for more content. Earth Roamer, if you have any questions or concerns or just want to write any opinions about Iraq, go ahead, do it on the comments. See you later.